Okay,
A wheelchair?
we have a bit of a smaller turnout today. Not bad, but a little smaller, because we have the checkout at the fair going on right now. So there's a few of us over there helping with that checkout. So just to let you guys know. Sue, who is our hospitality chair, has asked me, or I asked her to ask me, if the, we're gonna send up the sign up, or send around the sign up sheet for treats for the rest of the year. So if you see a blank and you want to partake, put your name in and you're good to go, okay?
And in addition to treats, I believe we could use beverages, can we not? Because we seem to be a little.
I've been supplying the beverages, but
We seem to be a little short on perhaps beverages today. So maybe we could add, please bring beverages, not in addition to your treats, but some people bring that as well.
Either or,
Yeah,
okay?
there we go.
Did everybody hear that? Either beverages or treats. And if it's like, no, I can't say that. Okay, here, I'm gonna, Pat, I'm gonna give it to you, Sue.
Thank you.
I can't hear you, sorry. I do have a lot of water and some juices, but right now it's in the ice container.
Oh, good. I'm desperate, Sue.
Okay, did everybody hear that? We do have drinks today.
We have desperation here. I gotta go get some beverage. I'm dying.
Okay, and guess what? Don't leave, because at the end of the meeting, we will have two, not one, but two bouquets to raffle off. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, what where is Valerie? Oh, okay. You moved. Okay. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our demonstrator for this meeting. And she is Valerie Birkhoff, who is near and dear to my heart because she gets her hands dirty in clay. Valerie creates figurative clay sculptures with mixed media. A little different than me. I don't necessarily do the figures, but Valerie is ramping it up. Thank you. And she shows her art all over the Bay Area, Sacramento area, and wins many, many ribbons. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Valerie Birkhoff, who I now give permission to come.
I didn't want to rush the stage. You know, you're on. Huh? Am I not on?
Not yet, hold on. Let me get you.
Technical.
You're on now.
Okay. You can hear me? Yep. Excellent. And Carolyn and someone else are going to start passing around little pieces. So, a little bit about me. A little bit about me is originally I was an oil painter and I brought proof. This is one of my oil paintings. And like Picasso said, clay is a great medium, but it will destroy your painting career. And that pretty much happened to me. I'm lucky if I get like one painting out per year. I think I'm doing great if I do that. So what I have to do with you today is I am crazy for clay, and I thought you might want to be crazy with me. So I have a little project for you guys. I've pre-pressed some little heads, and there's a back, and we're going to make these. It will come in 3 pieces. Here's my demo. We're going to do those. Yeah. So you'll get a back, a head, and then a little tiny chunk of clay. And while you're doing that, I'm also going to demo how I do a head. It's your choice whether you want to try to attempt to do what I'm doing up here, or if you want to just totally smash it down.
Why is it doing that?
I get too close to my piece and it does that. Or you can smash it down and do anything you want. If you make something that you really like, I will take it home and fire it for you and bring it back. It's generally, these sculptures take in the summer, about 3 weeks to dry and over a day in the kiln. So if you want to keep them, put them in here. I'll have it up in front. And if you don't want to keep them, just smash them down and put them back in the little jar that has the clay in there. And I'll make something else out of it.
Does everybody have a clay face? I know y'all have faces. Do you have a clay face? Anybody not have a clay face? Anybody not have a clay little square thingy? Okay, and does anybody not have this cookie? Okay, just checking. Thank you, Valerie.
Okay, so the little heads, I've been pressing little heads for, I don't know, a month. This is my second demo in 3 days. So, and I've pressed out something like 50 of these little heads. So they might be a little dry. And one of the ways you can loosen it up is to paint some water. There's little jars of water. There's a spray bottle for everyone. And I would love to give you all clay tools and have you use them, but they're expensive and I'm not famous, so I couldn't afford it. One of the key things that will totally work is one of those skewers. It has a point on it. And when I work in clay, I let the clay do various stuff. When it comes right off the block, it's going to be stickier, kind of like the little cube you have. A lot of times I'll do what I call let it rest, which is where the clay sits and it will gain some structure so it can stand on its own. It won't be so mushy. And then you can let it get leather hard where you can carve into it better. So you probably have all 3 of those types of clay sitting in front of you. The head's going to be a little bit more firm, the back is going to be second, and then the little cube is pretty much what it's like when it comes off the block. I just cut those day before yesterday. So what I have here is a big old fat demo head, and I tried to get one big enough so that you could see it. Can everybody see that okay? And you can use the camera too. And the first thing I do when I work in my studio, I have a big old mirror that sits in front of my work that I'm working on. That is not because I want to see my own aging face as I work, but one of the things when you look at it with a mirror, you can look at it opposite and it will tell you whether your eyes are level or not. One of the things I used to do when I painted, well, I guess I still paint, I haven't given up, but I'll also do that when I'm working on a painting. I'll take a picture of the painting on my iPhone and then I'll flip the image so I see it in reverse. So one of the things I do in my studio is I have that mirror and I have looked over, and when I'm working on something that's going like, sometimes I'll look in the mirror and I'm doing so I think clay picks up on the emotion and the expression. I really like to work with the idea of expression. There was a saying in the studio where I learned to do this: no mug shots. And so I do strive to put some
Better late than never.
so, grab some clay, we're gonna get dirty. They'll probably need pieces. So the first thing I do when I start a sculpture is I gotta get all the things in the right places. So generally what I do is I have a ruler and I find the midline and I go up over the top, and you guys can laugh at me, I don't care. Like, let's have fun. We're having fun here, right? So I go up over the top, and that's what I refer to as the midline. While I'm talking, this is the midline. So when I say midline, that's what I'm referring to. It's a little residual from the ambulance work I used to do. And then I go about 2/3 up, and I go across, and I go all the way around. And that's where the top of my eyelid is gonna be. And then I have another line that goes halfway from there. That's where the bottom of the nose is. And you guys have probably heard this if you paint people or do portraits or of any kind. And then halfway below that is the middle where the top lip ends. So what I did is I drew a face on there so that you could kind of see. I would talk about these lines and people would look at me like, so I did a demo on Saturday, so I'm all warmed up. So I made it very visual for you so you can see what's going on. The end of and the corners of the mouth is going to be where the pupil is. That will be the corners of the mouth. So I've already given you a head start on a lot of this, but I'm going to get started. If I can find my favorite tool. Don't leave home without it. And what I'm going to do, the whole thing with sculpture, it's all a game of shadows. This will help your painting if you try to do people. It's a game of shadows. So I'm going to take some volume from the midline over the top of where I'm going to put the eye, and I'm going to kind of put it down. Now, just as I'm starting this will not be my best one because I'm going to try not to block your view, okay? So I'm going to do it on both sides. I'm going to kind of dig in. And then when we look at the eye and the lips go at a diagonal. Let me see, how do I do that? At a diagonal, so the top lip sticks out more than the lower lip. Same goes for the upper eyelid. The upper eyelid is going to stick out more than the bottom one. So I'm going to dig this eyeball out. Ooh, so fun. And you guys can totally work while I'm talking because sometimes it's more interesting to have your own thing going in front of you. I put that stuff in front of you for a reason. I'm going to dig out the other eye. Ow! Yow! This is going to be great. Okay, so I'm going to create, this one's a really thin piece. When you work on a thicker piece, which I'm playing what I call clay chicken right now because I'm changing into my porcelain phase of my season. I work in bee mix in the winter and I work in porcelain in the summer. And so I'm leaving my bee mix mode and I'm switching over so I don't have much left. And I brought it all here today. You guys are so quiet, I feel like you're not there. I like the giggling. So once I have the eye sockets dug out, we gotta put the nose on. And the nose has 6 different planes. Right down the middle, a swoop to the left, a swoop to the right, a swoop up, and the nares go this direction too. So we have down, slap side, a little stuck up nose thing, and then we push our nostrils upward. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put an exorbitant amount of clay on here, because that's what I do. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to smoosh out to the side. Whoop. I'm going to smoosh out to the other side. Oh, this is a narrow little nose. And then I'm going to go like this, down the middle, swoop up, and the nostrils go up and up. Can you guys see me do what I'm doing okay? That's the hardest part of trying to demo clay. I want to stand right here. Yes! You are beautiful! Okay, maybe you're not yet. Because I like nostrils, I don't know why they fascinate me. I spend a lot of time sculpting nostrils, almost more so than I do on the eyes, which is kind of funny. I like to make a little teardrop shape. I'm trying to use the camera for what you can't see in the back. And I'll stick it on both sides. Little teardrop shape over here. The NARS have it. And then I'm going to just put my thumb up their nose. Okay. So as you can see, I'm making a beautiful piece. Don't you think that's gorgeous?
Gorgeous.
Ah!
Rob.
And tell me more about my eyes. Okay, so then I'm gonna roll some football shapes, and I'm gonna stick them in the, oops, that's a little bit small. And you guys play along, or not. You can even ignore me, I'm fine with that. Oh, giggling, yes. So I'll be sticking some eyeballs on there. Now, one of my biggest stressors about doing demos is when I'm, a free agent in my own studio, I try not to create a face the same way twice. And so to demo it, you're going to think that this is the way I always do it, but just know it's not. There are so many ways to do eyes and noses and mouths. The best way to do a sculpture is to work in profile. Because a lot of times, if we turn it and face it, ooh, we see what we're doing, which is kind of scary. But also, if you turn always and have it facing you, you're more likely to create a flat face. And what we really want is the proportions to come toward the audience. So this is what's called an eye tool. It was created by Philippe Ferreau. The guy that I took lessons from was one of his students, and it's got a cupped little end. This would be a piece I would love for everybody to have. Unfortunately, they're kind of expensive. So I'm just going to create that eye by pushing in and creating some volume. And another thing I like to do is, and it could be residual of being a painter, but I really do like to create work with my paintbrushes. So I like to kind of paint things and make sure it's in there by using a paintbrush. So I'm just going to go around the edges. This particular head, like I said, I'm playing clay chicken, is particularly thin. So I'm going to add volume rather than carve it out. I forgot to give me water. That's fun. If I should stop and pause, don't worry, you have things to do right in front of you, right? Okay. You also have some sponges in front of you. They're good too. It's more like finger painting. You can also, you're working very tiny on your own pieces, so the skewer tips work really well. So I'm going to start with the bottom of the eyelid because the bottom of the eyelid is going to go under the top lid. So I'm going to just trace it out with this skewer stick. Does somebody have my vinegar? Oh, good. I was like, did I forget that?
There's your vinegar.
Okay, there's 2 water bottles over on that table. So your real water bottle is over there. I was looking all over for that. Thank you.
What do you do with vinegar?
So when I use the vinegar and water, the vinegar has it's kind of acid, and clay has a lower pH. So if you spray some vinegar on pieces that might be a little drier than others, it helps the clay become sticky and attach better.
And is that pure vinegar? Do you break it?
I got it cut with water.
Yeah. 50-50?
Yeah, maybe even a little less. So we all need to face the facts that we're just going to have some bags under our eyes. That's just the way it is. If we didn't have bags under our eyes, we wouldn't be able to have enough eyelid to close our lid. So what I've drawn there is I've drawn the bottom lid, and I'm going to tuck the eye under. because that's what I'm gonna do. So that I have the sense of the eye going underneath the lid. Now, what I did display that this is not going to be my best work, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Because I'm not hardly looking at it. So before I put the eyelid on, this is a great time to draw the pupil and to draw the iris of the eye. Because after I get all the lids on, it's hard to get under there. So in order to get this guy looking the same direction, what I do is I use these skewers, and maybe we'll have them go to the side. And I'm going to try to get them to point the same direction. Like that. I can do it straight forward, but no mug shots. And then I'm going to take my wire tool and I go down the skewer, whoop, and other way, boop. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
That's good, because I didn't sleep very well. My dog got me up. She was having some issue. So now I have eyes looking about the same. And I'm going to try to do some, no, I'm not going to try. I am going to make some eyelids. Sometimes I do this different ways. Sometimes I roll it up and I create a little worm. But I was trimming a piece and I happen to have some flat stuff, so I'm just going to use it. I'm an opportunist. And I'm going to kind of just put the eyelid, I'm going to try to tuck it up in there. Ooh, nice and big. Cut a corner off that one. Go in here. Ooh. I did one wall piece where I decided just to stop here. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to just let that rest for a while, and I'm going to work my way down the face. I'm trying to get this done in like 20 minutes. So back to the eye tool. We're going to call it the mouth tool right now because I'm going to use it on the mouth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where that line is, where where the pupil is if you're doing facing straight away. And I'm going to jab that in there and I'm going to lift up. And I'm going to do it twice, once for each side. Jam it in there. Ooh. Yeah. Then I'm going to take my wire tool or a knife. I have a clay knife. And I'm just going to go all the way across. Boom. Like that. Then I'm going to just take my phalanges, my fingers, and I'm going to shove my finger up there. And I'm going to pull it out toward me. Oh yeah. Maybe pull out the lower lip a little too. Okay. Looking good, right?
Excellent.
But if you give it profile, let's see, how's my profile over here? If you have a profile, you can see where that face is pulling outward. I haven't flattened that nose down. I haven't flattened those eyes down. The face is pulling out. That is the big trick, the big secret in order to get a good portrait. Since I have this little beak sticking out, I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit. I'm going to just do a couple of lines on this. So here's my midline going down. Here it is right there again. I'm gonna go right there in the middle. I'll do it like that, and then I'll go a little smaller, smaller. And that's my idea of teeth. So, I'm gonna give him some teeth. Take a bite out of it. Because once I get that lip on, I'm not gonna be able to access it as well. Okay, excuse my head, I had to get it in there. So then, we're gonna add some clay. I think one of the things that I noticed is when people are thinking about the eyes, it's so easy to focus on the pupil and all the other things that we ignore what's really going on around the eye. And what's going on around the eye really makes the eye realistic or not. Obviously, I'm not in the realistic phase right now, but I'll get there. While I'm waiting for this to kind of rest for a minute, I'm going to take a piece of clay, and I'm going to have it be a worm with really narrow little ends, kind of like this. Could be a mustache. Okay, maybe not. Guys are so serious. Okay, didn't work, no giggles. And I'm gonna jam in these pointy little ends into the holes I created with my eye tool. This hole needs to be bigger. I'll make bigger holes in there because I got a lower lip to do. Okay, let's try it again. This is not a perfect science, but it is fun. Remember, we do this for fun. And I start with the lower lip the same reason I start with the lower lid. And that is that I really want to get that lower lip underneath the upper lip. I'm so pretty, so pretty. Okay, my singing is overrated to myself, I know. I'm also looking at that nose and I'm thinking, there needs to be more nose. So I'm going to create a little ball at the end of this nose. I think it will be better. Now, every sculpture I've ever done has an ugly phase. Some of them make it out of that phase, and some of them don't. We'll have to see. So I'm playing with this septum here. Just kind of put my fingers up there. And it hangs, this septum's going to hang down lower than the nars, the outside flappers of your nostril. Okay. So I'm feeling good about these eyes being where they are. I'm going to just touch them up with one of my paintbrushes that the handle stays on. These aren't the best brushes. I get them at the Ross for like $6. Sometimes the dollar store. Only the best for you guys. And I'm going to just make sure that's all sealed up with my paintbrush. Whoops. Okay. And one of the things I do when I'm working and actually looking at a piece, I go back and forth. I'll go to an eye, I'll go to the mouth, I'll go to the nose, and what that allows me to do is to kind of keep my eye fresh, because I really want to believe that this is going to be some sort of portrait when I'm done. And if I get too sold on one part and focus on it, love the brushes, then I'm more apt to make something look kind of funny because I just really want it to happen. Let me just give it a quick look here. Oh, yeah, this is gonna kind of slide over here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim this eyelid so it looks like something more like normal by going toward, at an angle where I'm going toward the head. Now, let's see how he looks. That looks more like a normal eye, right? Kind of thick still though, which is fine. We're gonna come back to it. I'm gonna use my sponge and just kind of smooth things out so I can see where I'm at. Sometimes I get a little lost in all of this. Okay. These things that are sticking out are called the nodes on the mouth. And it's a little muscle that helps us control the corners of our mouths, just in case we want to frown or smile or whatever it is that we're doing. I like it that I have my oil painting here. Makes me feel like I'm having to totally abandon one side of my brain. Okay. And sometimes I'll just use my thumb to kind of like, everybody here has probably picked their nose, so we know what it feels like. Oh wait, I'm the only one?
Only one.
Oh man!
How does it feel?
Well, you know why gorillas have fat fingers? Because they have big nostrils. Okay. So the other thing I like to mark is the commas that happen around our mouth. So I'm going to mark that now. I'm going to go all the way around the gnar, and at this corner, I'm going to go around and come down. So I'm going to go around the gnar. At the corner, I'm going to just make a little comma like that. That's just something that I put on there for my own reference. Now I'm going to take some more clay, and I'm going to leave the eye alone for a minute. I'm going to go back to the mouth, because like I said, I skip all over the place. And it actually lets the clay kind of sit and bind to itself. If I'm always poking at it, it's like my little brother, he gets ornery. So I got to move around. So now I have two pieces. Let me see. Okay. So now I have two pieces. They look kind of like this. They have little narrow ends. Look, they look kind of like gnomes, like gnome hats. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to shove it into that node area, go up and over the teeth, aiming for the midline on this. Going in, heading for that midline. Ah, the beauty. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so good at this. No, I'm not. Okay. All right. One side is drooping. We can't have it. Then what I'll do is I'll take and I'll make a little ball of clay to bind the gap. Boop. Okay. Basically, your mouth is this muscular donut called the labia orifice. And it's like, goes around like this. And then we got other things going on that pull our lips up, like this, or down. So basically we have kind of an X is how I do it. So I'm going to pull up on this top lip. I'm going to pull it up. That's one side of the X. And then on the other side, I'm going to pull it down. Wait, it's really hard to do this without looking. Down like this. I'm going to smooth it out down there. I'm going to do the same for the other side, or I'm going to try. So I'm going to go up here, top part of an X. And then I'm going to come to the other side. And I'm gonna do a little blending here. Now when I look at that in profile, it looks a lot better than it does straight on right now. So I must be getting somewhere. But once again, this helps keep it from being flat with just some two little flappy things that are supposed to represent lip. I'm going to blend it into my nostril here so that it's not always in pieces. And all right. Then I do a maneuver similar to putting on chapstick or lipstick, where I'm going to take my tool, and my tool has like a round side and a flat side and a point. And I'm just going to take it with the point in. I'm going to kind of blend that ball. I'm going to go the other way. Get that blended. I'm going to look for just a minute, so I have some credibility at the end. Okay, you're a mess. I'm going to take the tool and I'm just going to create the upper lip by pushing up at this angle, whatever angle that is. And I'm going to go inward as I get to the corner of the mouth. Push up, and then I'm going to go inward as I get to the corner of the mouth. Now, we're moving right along. Skipping back up to the eye, because I don't want to get too carried away on one piece or another. So I'm going to carve out some more commas. And the difference between a male structure and a female structure of the face is that a female is going to be more perpendicular like this, and the forehead of a male is going to slope back more.
Is that because they're not as evolved?
Well, you know, they only have that, that wife in there. I don't know what that happened to them.
Apologies to all the fellows in the room for that joke.
So, and the male will have a more prominent brow bone, and the female will have more bulbous material right here in the middle of the head. So we really are different creatures.
We knew that.
Yes. You know, we are different creatures, just in case you weren't aware.
Yes, we know.
So I'm gonna put some brow on this one. I think it's kind of a little, and there's variations. Some women have sloping foreheads, but the general rule is if it's male, and then there's some differences between the races as well. So when I was teaching for Jim, we always had to figure out like what gender and race we were doing, and that was one of his requirements. I learned from a guy named Jim Lee who teaches in Auburn. He was a student of Philippe Farreau.
You said you took a class with Philippe?
No, the guy who
The
I
student.
apprenticed with was a student of his.
Yeah, I took a class from him.
From Jim?
Philippe.
Oh, you are so lucky.
Yes.
You had more in your wallet than I did. So now what I'm gonna do, ooh, looking good. I got a little blending to do here, excuse me. That's really bothering me. So did you get to go to a studio and everything?
I went to Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona.
Someone gave up his home, which was amazing.
Yeah, that sounds
Amazing
amazing.
home on the Mesa. It was
Oh, yeah.
quite an event.
So as I'm working around this eye, the eye is going to be deeper here, and it will come forward more at the end of the eye. So the midline is a deep contour in, it's shadow. And then as you get to the out part of the eye, it's going to be less shallow. And my goal here is, looking sidewards, I want to see this bulb out. Let me just blend this up here. And as I come back to the end of it, I want to blend it downward so that it meets the eyelid. Okay. So if I look at the side, yes, looking good. This is very big brow on this side, so it's going to be a little bit bigger on this side. I might have to trim some of it off. So I'm going to make sure I'm more hollow on this side. Can you see me okay, what I'm doing? It's going to be more of a contour here. Whoops, or maybe it will just fall off.
That's doable.
That's doable too, we can do that. Let me just rough it up a little bit, that will help it stick. I mean, I had to drive over on 49 to get all this over here.
Oh, boy.
It was quite exciting. Okay.
And did you say you just did this a couple days ago, the same type of demonstration?
I did. I was on the streets of Grass Valley.
Wow.
I did a demo, and I brought it with me I cleaned them up a little bit, and I brought them with me. If we have time, I can show you how I put the heads to the body, but we might not have time. I didn't know how fast things were gonna go with you guys or what you wanted to do. And so I just came prepared to entertain you for the rest of your life. Okay. So now I'm going to let the brow line kind of rest. But can you see how the eyes are now shadowed? So that they kind of pop a little bit more. The other thing is we need to add the zygomatic arch.
What is that?
That's some good fun that happens and creates your cheekbone, basically. So I'm going to add some volume. Might be a little too much volume. I like to make worms. I never grew out here. Okay, so I'm going to start right here at the corner. And it's going to wind up like a pair of sunglasses up to where I have the ear drawn in. Like that. And that's basically going to be like your cheekbone. And it will help create the orbit that goes around the eye. Because as we all know, we got an eye socket in there. Anybody ever break their eye socket?
No, thank you.
Don't do it. It's a really bad thing to do. All right. Of course, I can't just leave these worms here, as cool as they look. So I'm going to blend them in a bit from the bottom. And then I'm going to blend it in at the top. And I'm going to come up to try to meet this arch that I've created around the eye, to create a feeling of the eye socket. And the biggest point should be in the corner of the eye. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to cheat and do this one really fast. Now let's talk about ears, because I haven't put the ears on, and I think it's time to do so.
The dreaded ears. Gosh, those are hard to do.
The ears, I kind of like ears, but then I'm kind of a freak. I enjoy my freaky status. So now, has anybody ever heard of Tip Tolan? She's a modern ceramic sculptor, and I just want to be her best friend, but she doesn't live here. She taught me a way to do ears. It's kind of fun. Oh wait, I just blew it. I'm going to show you this technique. Don't look. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to build some intrigue. So what she does is she builds, like I said, there's a million ways to make a sculpture. But what she likes to do is build a heart and then cut it in half
So they're both even.
so they're the same.
Yeah.
Now remember when I told you I put the lines all the way around the head? The top of the ear is going to be at the brow line and the bottom of the ear is going to be at the nose. And then you need to tilt it 13-degree angle.
Oh, yeah.
Your ears aren't like this. They're more aerodynamic, if you will. So I'm going to put it on the side like this. Can you see that okay, or is my big old thumb in the way? And then I'm just going to smush it up towards that zygomatic arch in the cheek. And I'm going to leave a little bit there. I'm going to pull it down. Okay. Now, it's easy, you guys. Come on. Oops. I just put one on upside down. In my professional demo career. Okay. So I'm going to kind of blend that in. This one side is looking particularly sexy. Ooh. Okay. Now I have a party trick for you guys. Now this is an audience participation, because if I have to do this by myself, I'll feel silly. If you take your fingers, put them in your ears, and drop your fingers down to your jawbone, that is the length of your ear.
Oh.
Party trick.
Unless you're a 90-year-old man.
Or like me, you wore the big old earrings in the 80s.
Well, men's ears just keep on growing.
Our ears and feet keep on growing. Now I want you to know these are general rules.
Yes.
Not everybody's made the same. That's why we all look different. So if your thing isn't working like you wanted to, just tell them you meant to do it that way. So I have the ear. I'm going to go down to what the jawline is, and that's going to be where the whole of the ear is. So the length down to the would-be jawline, and I'm going to put my finger right there. I'm going to jab my now, what was the mouth tool, eye tool, into the ear. Now it's an ear tool. And I'm going to go forward and create the tragus. Okay? Then what you can do is you're going to draw the nines. The actual ear goes around the top and it goes right by that ear flap and into the ear. That didn't look very good. If you could see what I was doing, you are a star. And then I'm going to create the outside of the earlobe. This ear's looking a bit fusty. I'm going to go along the outside, and then I'm going to make a beeline for that hole in the ear, and then I'm going to drop down and pull a little clay out. Now, this isn't looking very pretty because my clay is really soft, but that's okay. I'm going to take and clean it up a little bit. So this will be the top of the ear, and it comes down and it goes into that hole. And then there's a little bit of it that does that. We're going to take out a big chunk of clay right under where I put that hole. No, I'm not, because it's not gonna let me. Come on. I'm trying to do a demo here, sir. There we go. And I tore off that lumpy part, so I'm gonna just rebuild it real quick. You guys didn't see that, right? You were busy. Good. Okay. A little slot there. And it's looking pretty rough, but that's okay. Let me smooth it out with a brush so you can get a better idea what I'm doing here. Okay. Then there's a little V-notch that, I'm gonna add some room here. There's a little V-notch that happens right at the top of your ear. Stands for Valerie. So I'm going to just take a little V-notch out at the top there. Then I'm going to start making it pretty, because it definitely isn't pretty right now. How am I doing on time?
Let me see, you've got about, well, according to the clock, 6 minutes.
Okay, we'll wind this up in 6 minutes.
So Valerie, underneath the head, you've got the pole that goes up, and you've got newspaper that you've wrapped around and around.
I hated the wadding of the newspaper over and over and over again. So basically what I did is I brought one to show you, is I put tape around it and put it on a stick. And then I'll put another piece of paper, some newspaper over the top.
Okay,
And that's what this is right here.
all right. Okay.
Let me just do one last thing in my 6 minutes, and then I can show you more on my armature that I brought with me.
Okay.
I just want to get this guy looking a little bit more normal. What he's got going on is he has no chin. So let's put a chin on him, and then we'll call it good with this guy.
Okay.
How are your pieces going? And ask me millions of
They're
questions.
masterpieces.
I knew that. So I'm going to put the chin on right here under the lower lip. And it's going to blend up to the node, blend up to the node. And I'm going to try to leave a big gap right here. So we'll just blend it in. There he is. He's kind of a happy guy. And the other thing we need to put on him is the mandible. And I'm going to go to the ear. I'm going to put my finger in there. And that's where the jawbone's going to be. And I'm going to come around here. And just, I would add more and more volume for the cheek fat. This one has no cheek fat. And this side is just ridiculous, but I'll just put some there like that so it can look like we did something here. Okay. So does that pretty much give you an idea about how I get a face going on?
Yeah.
There'll be more dilly-dallying about, I would add some cheek fat here, particularly along here. I like to create a fold. I usually do that with a worm.
And is all of this B-mix?
This is B-mix right now. I'm switching over to my porcelain now because I don't have heat in my studio, so I don't usually do the porcelain in the winter because it's more finicky about cracking.
Where do you get your clay?
I drive all the way down and get it at Alpha Fireworks.
Yeah? Alpha?
Alpha.
You know, I like that B-mix.
B-mix without grog rocks. I fire at a cone 5. So I'm going to show you what's in here. Whoops. Where's the rest of your armature? So this is the basic armatures that I'm using. This is my piece from my demo the other day. My demo the other day was 3 hours long, so
Oh, wow.
there's more detail to this guy. And once I have them built, then, yeah, he kind of took a hit on the car ride in. That's all right. So once I have it built, I give them a lobotomy. I like to turn their heads away so I can't see them scream. So I'll take a wire tool and I'm going to cut the top of the head off.
Well, she's gotta get it off the armature to fire it.
Right.
Oh.
Gotta have a follow.
So that's
So-
why she's doing that.
A veteran move is generally, I make a little mark so I know how to get back on.
Yeah.
And, and then here is the paper exposed. When he's like this, I generally cut down the back, pull the ball out, and then I'll hollow him so he's evenly spaced. So
Very, very good.
I have some body parts for the torso. I have I'm not going to show you all this because I need to wrap it up, but one of the things I do is to create a torso. I have a neighbor who is a collector of things in his yard, and he gave me this cool pipe. So this is my torso, and what I will do is create a bottom piece like so. This is way too big for him, but I'd rather go big and cut down than to try to add on. And so I would take him right off of this, I'd stick him on here. He's not solid enough to do it. And then I would build the body around after it's, the clay has been taught to go in a circle off of the pipe. And that's how I would create the body.
Wonderful.
So let's just end it there. If you want to be on my email list, I have sign up here. I have cards. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that would be cool.
Does anybody have questions for Valerie? Yes.
Thank you guys. I have created a little hand wash to get the clay off of you before it goes into their seat. And there's a hand wipe. And I also have one of the key things you must always have when you work in clay, a tube of lotion. So you're welcome to have that as well.
Okay. All right. Okay, you guys, it doesn't matter. We're going to take a break now, and I invite you folks to look at the honeycombs that have been placed so wonderfully neatly on that back table. This is the project that we've been talking about for months. And when we come back from the break, Sue is going to introduce Candace, who came all the way from Reno to talk to us. So enjoy your break, and let's take 15 minutes, okay? Be back at 3:45.